You are up, Commissioner.
All right, Bannock County Commissioners are now in session. Like the first item on our agenda is the Board of Ambulance.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we enter into the Board of Ambulance.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. This is our monthly payment to the City of Pocatello.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the invoice and exit the Board of Ambulance as presented.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next, we have Board of County Commissions invoices, Commissioners report. When Dan's here, I want to ask him a couple of questions. Well, it's okay, but we must have had a water leak or something in Gabiola's courtroom. And we spent 20, there's Dan. Got a couple of questions, Dan. Come on up.
Called to the principal's office first thing.
Yeah.
So what was going on in Gabiola's courtroom? New blinds and paint and
Gabiola had water damage.
climate control?
It's been there for years.
It's not
And-
something new then, huh?
No, it was when the roof got replaced, the water came through. Well, anyways, that's where one of the leaks was at. And then he had no heating and cooling in the back of his courtroom. So we got that figured out. And his thermostat that ran his office was in an area where the clerk runs a space heater. So his heating and cooling was all messed up. So we went in, and while he was busy with his big trial, we did some stuff that needed to be done for a long time.
Okay. And all this was in his courtroom?
Courtroom, office, and clerk's office.
Clerk office, okay.
He was out of there for a week or two, so we figured it was a good time to jump in there.
Well, when I see new blinds and stuff, I wondered if he was decorating or what he was doing.
Oh, no. It was stuff that should have been done years ago, and it's really hard to get into those courtrooms sometimes because they're so busy. And while we had our chance, we got in there. I think they're much more comfortable. That area's been remodeled like 3 times, so every time you do that, you're messing with the thermostats and the heat.
Okay. And then you got your lumber.
Were we good to release that chamber?
Yes, yes. I had a conversation with her down there. And it's a different, it's not really the chamber, it's a branch of the chamber dealing with youth. Oh, oops, it's here too, so, because I had that copy
Oh,
somewhere.
but you don't need that copy. Because Brady sent it.
Yeah, right here.
That was a good catch,
Do
Joe.
you want me to get that? So when I get confused.
Okay, motion on them.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the invoices as presented.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next we have payroll report. Pay period 2/24 to 3/08.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the payroll report as presented.
A motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next, while you're here, Kyle, we have a salary rate approval form that one that had a clerical error, or had the S2 instead of the S3, or S1.
Oh,
We talked about, and also it is moving an employee directly, or keeping the same wages, moving from solid waste to road and bridge. To be able to do that, it's gonna have to have a form, what's it called?
exceptional placement.
Exceptional placement. We
Okay.
don't do that, we don't move them directly across. without justification and reasoning. Other questions?
That was it.
So do you just want them to write something up and say why?
Yeah. This is supposed to take effect on 3/25,
Okay.
so,
Yeah, we can do that. We were just following along with what we did in the past with our procedures on a lateral move being the same pay grade and the same qualifications. But, yeah, we can,
okay. So we'll hold off on this one until Tuesday, until we have that paperwork.
That payroll won't process for 2 weeks anyways, so.
oh, okay. Yeah, because I was
Assuming
gonna
the
say they're
commission signs
starting
it.
on Monday.
Do you want to change the effective date?
I'll just give this back to you, and you can bring that with you and change the effective date.
Okay.
Do you want the effective date for Wednesday, tentatively? Or do you want to decide?
You're assuming that they're gonna do the right thing.
Or do you want to decide on Tuesday what the effective date will be?
Tuesday.
Tuesday we'll decide. Okay.
Okay. Got that?
Okay.
All right. Well, Scott, you're up.
Okay. Scott Carler, Event Director, Business Manager. First, we have a couple of contracts. They're both from the same folks. I don't know if you're here from the rodeo? Yeah. Awesome. So we'll start out with District 8's high school rodeo and junior high rodeo. So I talked to Commissioner Crowder about a few changes that we'll make to this agreement before we have the final agreement, but I think the terms can be agreed upon. But the dates of the event will be April 26th to 27th, May 3rd and 4th of this year. The fees for that are $1,840. In the past, you guys have done a fee waiver. We didn't include a fee waiver in here, but the fee waiver is typically about a 50% reduction, and this is the full fee. And so we're requesting a fee waiver for the high school events.
We
for
just did that with the 6th district.
Fourth, yeah, with
Fourth district,
fourth.
that was,
Mhm.
okay. Was there other concerns you had, John?
No.
Oh,
Just some changes that I'll make to the
It's just
contract
some,
before we
yeah.
get the final contract for you.
They're not material to the contract itself, but just to be clear on what you're saying.
okay. Jeff?
So are we waiving the entire 1,800, or are we
No,
doing half?
50%.
Half,
So
okay.
we're just trying to keep it,
Yeah, no, that's
equal.
fine. I just want to make sure I heard that correctly, so. No, I'm okay. Mr. Chair, I would move that we approve the contract with the 8th District 8 High School Rodeo with a fee waiver of of $920. So that would bring the total fee to $920.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
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 And then the next one is.
So you don't want us to sign this one?
I will get you an updated version of it. We'll get you the current version to sign,
Okay.
so. But we can put it forward as far as a reservation on our calendar, so we'll be good.
Okay.
The next one is for the Mike Johnson Vegas Toughest Qualifier event. This is an event that occurs in between junior high and high school rodeo. And it's a pretty fun event for the kids. They do a good job at it. And this takes place up at the grandstand. For us, because we set up the arenas one way for junior high and we leave them all the way through high school, it's just a matter of going up and grooming. So it's still a full fee event where we do the $500 for the grandstand rental and then $100 for tractor use. So this is a full fee contract, but all contracts up in the grandstands are reviewed by the commission.
Questions?
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve this contract as well.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming.
Okay.
You got a couple of things on it too, so.
What's that?
John said you
Yeah.
had a couple of things.
Yeah,
on
I'm
that
going to change a
also.
couple of the things, and we'll probably change those for just, you know, grammatical stuff, but if it's a one-time event, it's not a term of a contract, it's just a date of the event. And so we'll change it to the date of the event, just some verbiage on our standard contract. And then anything that's 3 years or multiple years, we'll keep as the same. The other two things I have before you is, one is the contract for the rental of the lift to finish the grandstand / any projects that we're going to be doing down in the indoor arena. We're trying to get, we've got a few things we've got to get done in there, so it would be the rental of the lift through CAT.
I didn't see that in here. It's on the paper, but it's a design thing that's behind it.
It's the same contract we looked at last time, wasn't it?
It's a rental contract. It's $3,000 for a month's rental.
I thought we already
We had
discussed all that.
that conversation.
Yeah, I know you guys had the conversation about it. This is kind of a formality of just signing the actual, because they do it as a rental contract instead of, well, I mean, anytime we do a contract, it's gotta come before. So
Yeah.
if you guys are okay with it, then we'll just.
Did you send it in?
Yeah, I did. I sent it to Christie.
It's on the
But-
packet.
Okay.
Just make a motion to sign it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think that's all right, because we already discussed this and said we were going to do it, right?
Yeah. So, Mr. Chair, I would move that we authorize the rental agreement with CAT for the lift for 30 days, as discussed, and authorize signature on receipt of contract.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you very much. And the last one is, we've got a bid to redo our website. Last year, we contracted with our marketing / website guy to do some work for us. That work didn't and it did. I think it did okay for us last year, but he put some stuff in there that made it to where we can't go in and edit. He kind of locked us out of the website, so we can take it backwards, but we can't change or edit the current format of the website. This plan really puts us into a much more modern website that helps us to manage all of our events while giving us a much better look on the face. So it is the cost of the website to have the website redone will be the bid we have is anywhere from $17,500 to 20. Yeah, I've got it right here. To 25,000. Really, we could go with the 17.5, but I think that there will probably be a couple of things that we talk about adding on. So, like, one is the calendaring side of things. So, if as long as the calendaring side of things works efficiently for us, it could replace our current calendaring website. The only thing we'd have to look at is how we take money on this site. So we just have to figure that out. But that would probably eliminate the need for another service that we're currently paying for as well. So, so although it's the two options, the 17 or the 25, I think where we'll end up will probably be somewhere in the middle when we look at adding on a couple of
So
options.
you're not
to
to
it.
exceed 25,000.
I don't think 25. No, we will not exceed 25,000.
And where's the money coming from?
So that money will come out of the events line that we have for like our concerts, and it'll come out of that, the money we have set aside for that. And then
So this is already budgeted.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the maintenance for this, it's going to be around $7,800 a year. We currently
How
save
much per year?
$7,800 a year. With buying the new tractor that we got from surplus, we saved about $7,000 a year in our lease agreement. So we feel we could pay for that within our current budget.
Okay.
I have talked to Adam about this. He has gone in and kind of played with the back end of this site. He thinks that it looks really nice. It's really user-friendly. So.
Questions?
No, I compared this with some of the other industry tools like this, and the price is right in line with some of the other industry things. The other thing about this that is a huge help is it allows us to do some email marketing to existing or to new customers. So our email list will grow anytime somebody buys a ticket, they'll go into this, and we can now begin to market to where we don't have that capability right now, which
Yeah.
that will be huge.
Well, I think it actually will allow us to do cross-platform marketing too, because we're gonna integrate really the rodeo stuff with the concert stuff. We've never even had those two worlds talk. And so we can start running all of our concert events, even though somebody else will hold the event and sell the tickets, we can link their event through our site. They can actually go on and buy their tickets through our site, and we can then start cross-marketing with those folks as well.
The other thing about this is it ties everything into one spot, our social media, and everything can be handled kind of through this, which again is a good savings and makes things much more efficient with our marketing that we're doing up there.
Agreed.
So, Mr. Chair, I would move that we approve this contract up to the $25,000 limit discussed.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very
There's
much.
No place to sign on that list?
No, so this is just the initial agreement where I'm gonna then meet with them. We'll kind of figure out what we want to do, and then we'll get that actual contract, and I'll bring that back to you guys. So it's just essentially the step to move forward, the approval to move forward.
How long is this contract gonna go?
So it's, the service agreement is based off of a 3-year term, which I think that makes the most sense to give us the best pricing. And that matches what we've got with our concert
No, that makes
agreement as
sense.
well,
Okay.
so.
And I did find the cat rental
Oh,
agreement. It was in the back of this other packet.
oh, okay. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Daniel.
Dan Kendall, Facilities Director, with the monthly update. As far as the maintenance side of things goes, with the wet snow that we had rain gutters coming down at Juvie, at Road and Bridge, and at Planning and Zoning. And I've been working with Josh. Some of that stuff will be covered with their insurance. I don't know what the fund is called, but he has some money set aside for that kind of thing.
The deductibles.
Yeah. So he pays for, he's paying for most of that damage that happened. We had a couple of sewer backups. I think we have a plan of, we're gonna have to have the old jail and the annex probably cleaned out maybe every other month to try to maybe put an end to this. It backed into the basement of the annex again pretty bad. And so Roto-Rooter came and worked the line, put a camera down again, and I think we have a better plan moving forward.
That was clean water though, right?
The annex was not, but the old jail was. Yeah. But they're gonna come back with a water jet on the old jail and see if we can get that cleared out a little better. I think they're only getting it halfway cleared out every time they come, so it just keeps happening. But we'll see if we can get this thing figured out, so we don't keep having these floods. But that fresh water in the old jail only ran for a couple hours, and it flooded that basement pretty good. It was going down the elevator shaft and down the hall, and so luckily Ashley caught it and got it taken care of. But as we talked about, Gabiola's courtroom, years ago, before the new roof got put on, that water was coming, that's where it was coming through the worst, and it's a old plaster ceiling in there, and it's hard to get in there to fix anything because when they're in there working, you maybe have an hour in the morning, and it's not enough time to tackle anything significant. So while he wasn't in there, we tackled a few problems. Like I say, it's been remodeled probably 3 times over the last 25 years, and the ductwork was never adjusted, and the thermostats were never adjusted to make it work. So the poor clerk in there had 3 air conditioning ducts blowing on her, and then the back of the courtroom didn't have anything. So we got in the ceiling and redid everything and moved the thermostats, and I think we got it much more comfortable especially for Carla. I think Carla was freezing and the judge was sweating, so hopefully we got that taken care of. As far as projects go, the DMV front counter cabinets are being made. We're shooting for May. We picked May because the state wants to be able to move their own equipment. They don't want anybody else touching it, so we had to give them 60 days notice of kind of a schedule of when, because we're gonna do half at a time, so they'd have to come probably 3 times to tear down and put up and tear down, put up, but they're saying they don't wanna come here 3 times and go ahead and let the county IT department handle it. So it's gonna work out much better, much smoother. Makes much more sense. It's very minor. Everything's going back right where it was. We're not changing anything except for countertops and drawers and signature counter for the public, so thought that was good. Anita helped out with that, getting that arranged, so that's great. The false alarms that keep happening over at the fire alarm over at the annex, it's air that's trapped in that system. So I feel like if we do the ARPA project over there and we put the new sprinkler system in on Anita's side, we will fix the problem. Like, fix it right. I guess the air's been in there forever, but the alarm system is fairly new. So now it's just setting off that fire alarm. It thinks the water is flowing, and it's not. It's just the air moving back and forth. So we will find a way to bleed that air off when we do the work, and hopefully it never happens again. But might have been a good thing. We learned a lot. The alarm company wasn't calling the fire department, and they were calling me in the middle of the night, and then so I was getting down here as quick as I could. But if that sprinkler system was really running for the 20 minutes it took me to get here, we'd
Or if
have
there was really a fire.
yeah. Yeah, if there was really a fire, there was no fire department here when I got here, so. So maybe it was a blessing that happened, but we're getting it figured out. The museum, I don't know if Commissioner Crowder's seen that, but
Well, I've seen it.
it's a mess, and we've stopped by from time to time. The people that are there working feel like it's going okay.
Well, how much longer is this gonna take?
I think it's about there.
Well, you'd never know it from looking at it.
I know, I felt like they were almost there, and then they tore out some more stuff and kind of started over in a couple of spots, but they're smaller. They ended up painting the whole ceiling. It's a disaster. It ended up way bigger of a project than I would ever have dreamed it would have been, but they did a thorough job.
Okay.
That's the best I could say for that. That's not the path I would have took, but I guess the restoration company trained in that kind of thing did what they thought they should do. And the 2 people we talked to at the museum felt like it was almost done. They were happy with how it was turning out. It's been a little bit difficult where they keep changing who's in charge there. It's hard to get a hold of them. It's hard to know when to go. It's locked up. It's not locked up. Anyways, but.
Well, they just hired a new executive director, so
Yeah.
that part of it should be taken care of.
Yeah, so I think they're about there.
Yeah.
The part they tore out was minor, and I
Mhm.
think they're about done, so. It's been a disaster, I thought, but. Anyways, it's kind of falls in line with the jail boiler. It's almost done. They keep having little things pop up. They had a propane line that went under the ground that was leaking, that runs the backup boiler. But they're gonna run it overhead and get that fixed. So it's just the little things at the end that they're ironing out. They're almost there. I keep saying that every month, but I think
The
they're,
VFD drive that went out
yeah,
already?
yeah, just, they have like what I would call brown power issues out there really bad where it fluctuates a lot, and VFDs don't like that.
Yeah.
We get it here too, just the way it is, I guess. But the update, I thought they sent a good email with a good description on it, and they're getting close. It's just the minor stuff, but almost there. I'm sure the paper trail will go on for a couple months, but the work is almost done.
Good.
Yeah. Let's see, what else do I got for you? The juvenile probation officers are moved in. I think that has been really, went well. We check back with them, once a week to make sure they're comfortable. And they're really helpful. Like they help a lot, moving furniture and that kind of thing. They're great to work with over there, and I think it turned out really nice. So happy with how that turned out. All the final inspections are done on that one. The other juvie remodel that we're going to do over there, Judge Call is going to be out of town the last week of May, so I think that's a good time to get in there and do the demo work, so we don't have to work around that court schedule. So that was the plan for that one. The engineering for 6th Street is done. We have that. I sent a copy over to Christy so she could see the scope of work on that one. And Shanda, I know, is working on that one as well.
We had an engineering bill today that we paid $6,100.
Yeah, that's the civil engineering, so I think that design stuff is done. Unless we change something, it's complete, so. And I think that is all I got for you. I did apply for the building permit for courtroom 320. I'm just waiting back to hear from the city on that one, but as soon as we get it, we'll start doing the more intense demo work, but I don't like to get too far into it until I get that permit in my hand.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions for me? Okay.
You're hanging around, right?
Good morning, Commissioners. Emma Iannacone, Public Information Officer, here with the Planning and Development team to do a quick review of the public input that we gathered for the 2040 Comprehensive Plan rewrite that Planning and Development is doing. I included in your packet a short synopsis of the data that we had gathered. That data was gathered between January 1st and February 25th of this year. We asked for public input through a variety of different methods. We did 7 open houses. We had map-based input, an online survey for those who can attend the public houses, open houses. We had some written comment received through the email, just 2 of them through the email, but then we also had written comments at the public open houses, and then talking with residents at community events and meetings. We used several methods to gather this data, including a mailer that we sent to county residents in rural areas, social media advertisements, news media interviews, community newsletters and email campaigns, as well as a pop-up window on the county website that was very successful. Though I'm sure it was a little annoying to those who frequent the website, so I appreciate everyone's patience during that time. Do you have any questions about how we gathered that information right now? Okay. The open houses were very successful. We had the goal of having more than 200 attendees at our open houses because at the previous when years ago when Planning and Development did public input for the current version of the 2040 Comprehensive Plan, it was it during the pandemic that was happening?
It was right before.
It was right before the pandemic. I believe they only had about 80 attendees at their open houses, so we wanted to double that, and we did. We had 214 attendees across the 7 open houses, with the most going to the first one in Downey. At those open houses, people had the chance to review the old ordinance as well as the proposed version, correct?
Just the comprehensive plan.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Comprehensive plan, not ordinance. They had the chance to vote for the proposed updated vision and mission statement for the comp plan. They had the chance to write on flyers, as you'll see later in a couple of pages. Those were some of those written comments we received. And then they were also able to do spot feedback on the future land use map. Again, that'll be in a couple of pages. Any questions about those open houses? Okay. So that vision statement input, like we said, we gave people the opportunity to vote whether they liked it or didn't like it. This was a vision statement that we crafted with Hal was there, Elise, were you there? Tristan and Commissioner Huff. I'll let Tristan explain a little bit about the voting here.
Tristan Borquin, Assistant Planning Director. So we collected, I spent a bunch of time at that vision statement board during those open houses while people were making their votes. So we just had red chips and green chips. Red if you didn't like it, green if you did like it. We had the current vision statement out there for them as well so that they could review and compare between the two. it was about a 50-50 vote on whether they liked it or not. I can tell you with the solar ordinance information happening at the same time, that Downey meeting as well as a little bit in Aramo, a lot of those votes, they thought they were voting for solar, not for the vision statement. There was a lot of miscommunication at that first meeting. So some of those numbers are a little bit skewed, but overall it looks like it was about a 50-50 vote. So.
On the next page, you'll see.
So while we're there, was there any suggestions or comments to
No,
improve? Just a vote?
just to vote whether they liked it or not.
On the next page, you'll see some of, just a quick snapshot of some of those My Vision flyers that we asked people to fill out at the open house. We had a total of 40 flyers collected at the open houses. We thought this was we kind of got the idea from Denver's comprehensive plan that they did, just as a fun way to kind of gather a quick look at what people in the community would like to see the county look like in 2040. So, and all of those are included. So what I'm reviewing right now is just the synopsis of all of the data. I've also created a full packet with all of the data, including all of these written comments and all of the survey responses. I will upload that to the comprehensive plan webpage, the bannockcounty.us/ourfuture, so that the public can review it as well.
Yeah, it was about 210 pages, wasn't it?
Yeah, just about. Yeah, so it was a large one. I didn't want to include it in this packet so as to keep things flowing for y'all. The future land use map on page 7 here. This was the map that P&D had at all the open houses. Is this the current or the proposed?
Current.
Okay, so this is the current. So people were able to vote on the zones specifically that are in place right now and say whether they liked it, they agreed with the zoning or disagreed with the zoning. Tristan, do you want to kind of explain what we're seeing here?
I will actually let Elise explain because she spent a bunch of time in front of that future land use map at the open houses.
Elise Foster, subdivision planner. As Tristan stated, some of the information is skewed. A lot of the pins that you see South County took place in Downey Aramo area, and they were saying no to solar more than they were based off of the zone. A lot of the feedback was no growth, no development, because of the solar. I did try and engage some of them a little bit more when it came to commercial, light industrial, how they felt about that from a growth next to their city limits. There was mixed conversation on that. Some of them, again, wanted no growth, and some of them did want to see a little bit more ability for their cities to grow. Majority of the community did state they wanted the growth close to city limits and leave the rest of the county as it is.
What is the green color? Is that agricultural?
The green is agricultural.
And what's the orange, the light orange?
Residential, rural.
And there is a version of this map that's easier to read and see in the larger packet. I didn't have it in time to include in this one, but there is another version that's easier to read.
Yeah, just interesting looking at this. All the red dots are in the residential rural.
They were proposing that it go to agricultural with no growth, and again, that was a lot of where the solar
So most of the
was being
red pins
proposed.
mean they want it to be agricultural as well.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Any other questions about this data before I move on to the survey? Okay, so the survey was quite a success. Like I mentioned a few years ago, when this public input was collected, we only received about 200 survey responses. This time we received 778 responses. My goal was 1,000, so unfortunately I did not reach my goal, but I still feel like it's a success and a pretty good snapshot of what the community would like to see. These first couple pages are just the demographics that we asked for from the survey respondents, what zip code they live in. This was really important for us to gather because we want to make sure that we're kind of seeing a mix. It's not just all coming from one part of the county, right? We still got almost half of the respondents came from the 83201 and 83202 zip codes. And if you'd like, there is a way to see each individual. So in SurveyMonkey, we can break it down to everyone's specific answers. So if you wanted to see all of the answers from a certain zip code, you could see what they're responding to the rest of the questions, if you'd like to break it down that way. The ages of our respondents, again, most came from the 55 and older group. And then the annual income of respondents, as well as how they heard about the survey. Most came from social media. And then the other category, most of those responses came from the website pop-up window that we received. So, and this was really interesting for me to see because for the first time since I've been here, I believe the first time, we sent out a mailer to people, like I mentioned. So seeing how many people that had led them directly to the survey was underwhelming for what I had hoped. However, I do think that the mailer encouraged more people to show up to the open houses than it did for them to go online.
Is the mailer the flyer sent to my home?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. So quick snapshot of some of the survey responses. I did a word cloud because that felt like the easiest way to give you a quick overview of some of the responses we received. That first question was, please finish the sentence, one word or simple phrase that best describes Bannock County is. Got a lot of people saying home, beautiful, rural, growing, friendly, peaceful, diverse. Few in there for high property taxes. That was another consistent answer. What do you love about Bannock County? People, mountains, rural, outdoor activities, nature are some of the standouts. What do you want to improve about Bannock County? Taxes, roads, building, developers kind of stand out. Infrastructure, that kind of stuff. Oh, and then the other one, what are some of the biggest challenges facing Bannock County? Growth, maintaining jobs, drugs, development, planning, homes, housing projects, etc. The response snapshot for question 5. This was something that was really important to the planning and development team to understand what people's priorities were as they were planning on updating the comprehensive plan. These were the 4 main areas that they were going to be readdressing in this rewrite. Improving and maintaining water quality was the #1 priority for most survey respondents. And the second was increasing affordable housing. The third was adjusting zoning to reflect growth. And the fourth was adjusting areas of city impact to reflect growth. Question 6, are there any other priorities that you feel Bannock County should focus on that were not listed in the previous question? Solar farms, taxes, providing water, business focus, bikes. And then please provide any final thoughts in regards to how you'd like to see the future of the county. Again, kind of that same stuff that we've been seeing. These answers get really interesting once you break into the longer form packet that I'm going to upload to the website and I've sent you, because then you can start to see all of the full answers, and it's just really interesting data to go through, in my opinion.
How many mailers did we send out?
We sent out 8,000, over 8,000. I can't remember the next 3 numbers, but more than 8,000 were sent out, and they were all to the rural routes in Bannock County.
Well, it looked like we had about 50 respondents to the 8,000.
So, but it was interesting to see that. It's helpful as we think of our future public input projects. Seeing what works and what doesn't work. I think that's really valuable. Yeah. Any other questions?
Hal, what's your takeaway from this?
I haven't had time to go through it
Tristan?
at this point.
My takeaway is we now have a lot of work ahead of us to go through all of the information, and I think we're hoping to, kind of like Emma has done here, take those words that you're seeing multiple times and trying to figure out how we can fit that into goals and policies for our comp plan to make sure that in 2040 Bannock County looks the way the community wants it to.
Anything different, Elise?
No, that's pretty much it. I just really appreciate all Ben's help and hard work that she put into helping us get this going and getting it out there to the public.
Well, this is a great synopsis. Good job.
The resounding difficulty of this is that we have a large faction in the county that is content with how Bannock County is right now. And we have another faction that understands that if you're not growing, you're dying, and so therefore they're looking for opportunities for economic growth outside of their own small cities. And for us on the planning end, as we move forward towards the edits of the comprehensive plan and then driving the ordinance, where's that happy balance? So we'll be having more discussion about that balance as we bring other documents for review and approval through the next probably year.
John?
And I need to say thanks to Emma as well. Without her efforts, we would have been greatly impacted time-wise internally in the office. It allowed us to keep moving forward on particular tasks, and she does what she does very well. And you can see from this report synopsis that it's good information, much better than when we were working through this in 18, 19, and 20.
It's very fun to work with planning and development.
Good. Good. Thank you. Stay right there and we'll move you up to your next item.
Real quickly, Commission, a couple of items that have come to light. Within the last month, I've done a couple of, shall we say, informal polls, asking questions. And what led me to 2 weeks ago in a staff meeting, I said, so can anyone here tell me that you've had one positive comment with our new permitting system? Quiet. I've had at least a half dozen contractors ask the question, when are you going back to your old permitting system? So anyway, as we've talked and at a particular leadership conference that both Tristan and I attended, one of the items was about decisions and how you make decisions. And so we made a decision and we found that we're running up against a loggerhead, and we keep thinking that it's going to get better and it's going to get better, and it doesn't get better. And so we spoke internally, talked about what we think is best. We found that our service relative to permits of the customers that we serve, the clientele of Bannock County and others, has started to wane. We've gone from 10 to 14 days for turning permits around to upwards of a month, sometimes even longer, because of the lack of good communication with the new system. It's not intuitive. People on the other side of the counter who are a one-time shot, such as executing a permit for their own personal home, they're going to be their own general contractor, ultimately end up calling the office, talking to Marge. She walks them through the process. It consumes a lot of office time just to get a permit done. So we have before you a letter that would terminate our contract with CityWorks. We currently still have under contract OpenGov, which is the system that most people are most comfortable with and very intuitive, easy for them to use. It wouldn't change anything relative to our upcoming next budget because of items that are already built into the budget. We just get rid of one and we move it forward. general consensus from my team is let's go back.
Was CityWorks used by others? Was you using CityWorks? And,
But this was an add-on
okay,
for this, so they're just gonna get rid of that piece.
one piece of it, okay.
So it's just that component of
Okay.
PLL. Asset management stays in place.
Okay.
And this wouldn't be so much a termination of the contract, right, as in we're just not gonna renew the contract, because we're coming up on the renewal period. That's how I understand
Yeah,
it.
I think, Tristan, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe there's some language that uses termination of a contract within 30 days.
Right, but it's coming up for a renewal, right, in April?
Correct.
And so we're just choosing to keep it until that renewal time and then cease renewing it.
That's correct.
Yeah, we just have to have a 30 days
Right.
prior to
To
the
let 'em know.
upcoming renewal, let them
Says
know
the
we're
renewal
not.
is April 30th,
Yes.
but it does have the word terminate.
Yeah, and that's fine, but it's more like, we're not getting out of it early, we're going through the length of the contract and just choosing not to renew it, right?
Correct.
My language is corrected by council.
No, that's fine there too, I mean, terminate, yeah.
We haven't seen you forever, so we got a little bit of a hard time.
Anything else?
But just for clarification on.
Excuse me, who are you?
Kyle Burmester, Public Works Director. Thank you. There is the two pieces to it. There's the asset management and the permitting side of it. So we are still looking at, we're still using the asset management. We did have a demo the other day that we all looked to see. We've actually been using the permitting system on our side too. And so we got to see what the two versed each other, and it's correct. There's one that's easy to use and one that's hard, whether it's personnel and on the public side. We're seeing a lot of the same things with the AMS side, where we don't have it go out to the public, but for our end users, it's a little more robust or difficult, not user-friendly than what we're used to, and it is taking us longer to do our work. So we've seen how these two companies compared to each other with the permitting side, so we are looking at the AMS side of the OpenGov right now. It's got some features that I think where the commission would like to go with the facilities and stuff like that have such an ease of how to keep maintenance on facilities, parks, and still all the same stuff for roads and bridges and everything. So it looks nice, but we're kind of cautious on that things might look better than they are. So we're really looking into it, but we're in the same thing right now. We have, our bill is due too. So we're in the wondering if it's worth not renewing, and then that system will stay there. We were gonna ask for sure with IT and Adam, but like our last system, it just doesn't update. So it doesn't go away. It would still be working. So we could utilize it for a few more months or whatever if we decided to go in a different direction. So that's where we're at with that.
Who is the contractor with the old system that you guys like? What's the name of that one?
OpenGov,
And the new one is called, that you don't like is?
CityWorks.
Because your letter here says notice of intent to not renew agreement with OpenGov, but you want to keep OpenGov, and I don't know why that have anything to do with
It's a
CityWorks.
misstep,
Oh.
Commissioner.
Yes. Good
So that
catch.
shouldn't even be in there, right?
No.
Correct, it should say CityWorks, not OpenGov.
Okay.
And the reason being is that we also had to alert OpenGov, and so we let them know we weren't going to renew, but yet we ended up retaining them for a year.
OpenGov.
Correct, because we needed to pull all of the data out. That's why we were here before you last fall.
Right. No, I remember that conversation.
So,
And
yeah.
I remember this whole thing.
That,
Yep.
that letter, FYI, that letter's just a misedit, so we'll get that corrected and get it back in front of you for signature.
And we have more than one piece. Is it one contract with CityWorks, but it's multiple things they do?
Correct.
So you're really not terminating the contract with City Works, you're ending a portion of what we do with them, and and
Yes.
is that broken out as a separate fee?
Yes, yeah, so in the contract, it has the AMS portion and then the PLL portion.
That
And
AMS portion?
AMS is the asset management, which is
Yeah.
what Road and Bridge uses, and then the PLL is the permitting licensing.
So you're only ending the PLL part?
Correct, yeah, so in the letter, it says terminate its contract with server PLL Standard Enterprise. That's what that server portion is called, is just the server PLL portion of the contract. So
Okay.
just that one section of the contract is being terminated.
Is that gonna change the maintenance fees? Because looks like from the original paperwork I have, there was only a one-time fee, implementation fee, but
It's
the maintenance part.
30,000 a year for each part, so it's a $60,000 total.
Okay, that's another paperwork. Can you get me something that shows that?
Yeah, I
Is
have
that what was that?
have the invoice.
So just to make sure I understand it, it's one contract, two different things they do, so you're terminating one piece of it. That, to me, the letter's not real clear, so I would make sure that was clear that you're not terminating the whole contract, just this specific thing.
Correct, yes.
Right, okay.
And one of the things why they had to continue with OpenGov is it's how it's set up. If you're not paying that yearly subscription and stuff, it goes away.
Right.
Where some of these other ones, like we still have Public Works, that was an older program we used, it still works. It just doesn't update. So that was the difference in having to have the
Sounds
two
like it was a
programs.
good thing we kept the OpenGov going, so.
As a comment, Commissioner, I guess maybe serendipity worked in our favor, is a good way to put it.
It seems like it.
Yeah.
And I did have legal review the letter and the contract prior to putting it in the packet today, so.
Yes.
All right, with the updates, then, motion?
Mr. Chair, I would move that we approve the termination of the PLL portion of City Works, and I also authorize everybody else to look at the other part of the asset management, because I do not want to go backwards. So,
And then signature on the
oh, and then
update.
authorize signature when the contract is updated, or the letter is updated.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Shanda?
Good morning, Commissioners. Shanda Crystal, Chief Procurement Officer. I had 4 items before the board today, but the first 2, the recommendation to award the architectural services and attached contract, are not complete. We're still in contract negotiation there, so that is not prepared for the Commissioners' review today. And
Which one is not?
That's the 1 and 2 that are the recommendation to award architectural services, and then the potential signature on a contract. We're still negotiating that contract, so it is not prepared for the Commission today. And then the third one is a fuel contract, and that has been through legal, and we made some adjustments and sent it back to their legal for review, and have not received comment or signature back on that as well.
So we're not ready to sign anything today?
Correct,
Okay.
yes. So I'm down to number 4, a procurement update, and I will be out. On the procurement update, if you want to start at the top with the Event Center fireworks display, I plan to have that the first draft of that for Scott and his team to review today, this afternoon. Moving forward to the Commission 6th Street entrance, that draft is not to Dan and his group yet, but I do anticipate that that happens today as well, and that they will go live on April 1st. If we jump down to the emergency services, Lava Ranches, the weather is holding out nicely, so we'll continue forward with the plan to publish that and go live April 16th, with the pre-bids meeting following on May 21st and the 28th. And then the final one is Public Works road chip bid. That was published last Friday. It'll publish again in ISJ tomorrow, and we'll move forward with the question and answer period as scheduled. If there are any questions? Excellent. See? Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Kyle.
Kyle Brewster, Public Works Director. The first one we're doing is the CAT.
Yes.
So, we came before the commission to have an emergency agreement signage of purchase of 2024 826 CAT compactor. The reason why we had it sitting on site, but we just hadn't had the contract finalized, but our compactor had broke down and been down for a few days and wasn't looking like we were going to get it back up in the next few days. So we needed to get that going. So we had the contract signed by commission, and today we'd like to get it ratified.
Questions?
Nope. Everything good with you, Christie? Okay.
After we have the lease paperwork, I'll have you guys look at it on Tuesday.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I'd move that we authorize and ratify the contract with Western States CAT as discussed.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 And that is getting finalized, and I'll get that back to Christy Davenport.
Okay. So the next one is discussion about sandbags. Wes?
I'll let Wes Jones, Emergency Management, I'll let Kyle go over the numbers and the things that you requested, Ernie.
Okay, yeah, we're getting into that season again. Snow melt is going on. We're appreciate the updates that Wes has been putting out to everybody on where we're at with storm waters and what water elevations are doing at this moment. From that, we're kind of seeing a little bit of an uptick of the water heights, coming through this weekend. It shows a little high or into the action area for the Pocatello area, but we're out monitoring all out through the county, keeping track of that. But it's that time of year again when people are asking if the county is going to supply any sandbags and help out with that. So I wanted to bring it before the commission to get an idea on which direction you would like to go. From last year, we supplied sand and sandbags across the county. We, as the county, purchased 12,000 bags, but then with Wes's help and funding, we purchased another 12,000. So we had 24,000 that we purchased last year. And we, as far as we can guess, with all of the work of trying to keep track of all these bags. So we didn't just give them away. We tracked them wherever we were at. It was either planning development helps, solid waste helps on weekends and stuff, and then our road and bridge office helps with divvying them out. We had 8,331 bags that we put out or gave out last year. Sand-wise, if you fill them bags at a 50-pound, you're looking at 209 tons of sand, which on our cost to produce, that's $1,800. So we use the bags that were funded through emergency. So pretty much last year, the cost of the county was sand, which was around $1,800.
We actually had people take 8,300 bags?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just watching there in Ingham, Rapid Creek has come up the last few days and stuff. I think it was a good program last year. People come and fill their own bags and stuff. I mean, so we didn't have a lot of labor and stuff involved with it, but it saved a lot of properties too. And so I think that it's a good program. I think it worked out pretty good for us last year.
Do we have sand left over?
Yeah, so we're all set up right now. We have sand at every location, and the bag fillers and all that. It's just we haven't gave out any sandbags.
You have what? What was that last part?
We just haven't gave out any sandbags yet.
Do we have sandbags left or no?
Yes, we have 47,000.
47, okay, I guess we're okay then.
And what we did last year is we give them to each city. We got a hold of each city and allowed them to distribute bags themselves. And then we had sand in a location close in each city so that
And so
the residents could go fill theirs up.
some of these are, so 24,000 is what we purchased last year between the grant and just road and bridge. We haven't even really touched them. What we had is a surplus of old stuff. That's where all these bags went, was trying to get rid of old stuff. But we still have better numbers. What do you think you used? Or the old bags?
We got about 24,000 of the old and 23,000 of the new bags.
So, I mean, we're still, if we don't rotate some of these bags out, they're not gonna be good to anybody. We have burlap ones still. We have some old stuff.
We didn't have any complaints about the program last year or any problems with it at all?
No?
It sounds like you're advising us to do the program again, the same program.
I would advise to do it from, like, Chairman Moser said, I think with the property that you save and help, and for, like what we were into it last year, $1,800, I think it's a good deal.
One other thing while we're talking about this, we have an attachment that goes on the skid steer, which allows you to fill how many bags in what amount of time.
Jeez.
It's like 20 bags and 40 seconds.
If we have an incident in a city or somewhere else, I think that should be available.
Yes.
I mean, if
We tried to get that for income last year, but it just timing didn't work.
And
right,
that's
but-
why I'm saying, if we find we have an emergency, I don't want you to have to try to get a hold of us to take that. No, I think that we discuss that right now, and that if we have the ability
That
to
can be
fill 20
utilized.
bags in 40 seconds,
Do it.
Most cities and stuff have skid steers, and all it is an attachment. What it is you put all these bags in, they have a kind of a special string on them, and you just scoop into the pile, shake it a little bit, then you push a button, and it drops them, and they're tied and ready to go.
so.
And that was the reason for the extra purchase of the 24,000 bags, is those bags only work with that attachment.
So we're trying to get rid of the old bags so that all the bags work either way.
And I think that that's a good plan. Let's get rid of the old bags, but if we have something catastrophic happen, a real emergency, we need to be able to operate now rather than try to do a bunch of phone calls. And
Yeah, and what we'll
settle it out.
probably do
For
is,
sure.
just like we did on the sheltering issues, before we even initiate and start a lot of that activity, we'll still let you guys know what we're doing, and so you're aware of the direction we're going on these based upon the input from the communities. On the bags specifically, what we also did, so you can be aware, I worked with Eric Hobson in Caribou County and Scott Reese in Bingham County, and so we worked into a regional sandbagging stockpile and facility function with the Bureau of Reclamation. So we have 50,000 sandbags stockpiled in Bingham County that we have access to. And so when we go through those, Bureau of Reclamation will replace those, but we wanted to take the burden off of Kyle and Buddy in storage for a lot of those bags that, you know, they become dilapidated and they wear out, the shelf life is minimal. The other thing is working with the United States Geological Survey. They're putting 2 new gauges in, down on Marsh Creek, and I think one up in the Gap. But they won't be online for a while, so that gives us more remote monitoring that we can take a look at.
Good. Anything else on the sandbagging?
Nope. Mr. Chair, I'd move that we authorize disbursement of sandbags as discussed per the plan.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thanks. Noxious weed. Get on up here.
I was wondering, I was like, where is she hiding? I was looking on the back row, I can't believe you're on the front.
I just followed in like a little duck.
State who you are.
Kathy Dahlke, Noxious Weed Department.
We're here before you today, and we're trying to update our systems and kind of go from paper and files to electronic. I'm pushing Kathy along on that idea. But one thing that's kind of hard is we have these no spray permits that we can put out. This is by state statute, we have to give them that right.
What does that mean? A no spray?
So when we come through and spray in the county or the right-of-way, public right-of-way, they can ask us not to spray on their property that meets the road. So we're only spraying on county right-of-way, but they can request whether it's a health issue, whether asthma, whatever issues that way, or they just don't like chemicals and stuff, so they have that right.
How many of these no spray permits do we?
35.
35, and it's always the same?
So they've just got a permit, we put a sign up so it shows our staff that, hey, when we get to this point, we're not gonna spray. So they just have a little sign that says, if you look around as you're driving around the county and stuff, you'll see these little no spray signs. That's what this is. But they have to follow some guidelines to be able to do this. So they have to maintain that area. They can't, well, they're just gonna mow it or what they're gonna do, but they can't let it just go to weeds, or else we'll pull their permit and just do our normal.
So they have to do something to make sure there's no weeds?
Mm-hmm. They can't just leave it
on their property.
On right-of-way
On the right-of-way.
property. This is just right-of-way, but in our spray program, we do sterilants, we do weed controls, and in our right-of-way. So as we're coming through multiple times per year, keeping control of that and stuff, they're the certain few that don't want us to touch in front of their property.
How many times a year do you go spray a particular area?
We spray, broadleaf twice a year?
We do the road sterilant depending upon what rate we use, depends on if we do it once a year or twice a year. If we do it in the spring, we tend to not do it in the fall, and that is just for the roadside sterilant. On the broadleaf, usually we do that all year long, and that's going from the point of where you end your sterilant line out to your borrow pits. I think that's an old word, but anyway, so you do that, and where the do not spray signs go is a lot of people have their landscape up to the road, and if they do that and they maintain it, they mow it and everything, then we turn our spray nozzles off so that we don't disturb anything, and then turn it back on when we get past their property to continue on. So they either mow it, they spray it themselves, they pull it, they do whatever. If they don't do that, then we would send them notice and ask them to give them an opportunity to clean it up. If they don't do that after that point, then we'd go ahead and spray it.
Okay. I don't want to take a bunch of time talking about this, but I want to learn more about this myself, and so after this meeting, maybe I'll get together with you guys, set up a time I can come learn more about this program.
Yeah, for sure.
Any other questions?
But what the waiver is we've got these 35 people out there already. Once we start them into this program, there's gonna be a part to that permitting system that says, hey, you have to pay a fee. What that fee is for is our personnel to take out a new sign, and it's just in the equipment, labor, and materials of $150. We don't want to, these people that are already in the program kind of want to grandfather them in and anything from now on, since this is a new fee that we just, started, anybody from this point will charge the fee. So that's what the waiver's for, is the 35 people that already have the system.
We would charge them a fee not to spray on their property?
If they want us to not spray it, it sounds crazy, but it's,
It
yep.
does sound crazy.
If they don't want us to
But we provide a
spray,
sign and we provide somebody coming out and putting the signs out.
and it does
So-
create a lot of work for us because of they don't manage it, most of them. And so then we have to deal with that, but then also
Now
really,
it sounds less crazy, so.
I wish they would just let us, because a lot of them do this thinking that you're still gonna maintain it. I don't know what they, I guess, get out of it, because a lot of them, if we see lawns, curb, gutter, we've kind of put that out there that we're not gonna spray it anyway. But a lot of them just, they think we're still maintaining it, but if you don't spray it, it's not maintained.
So that's got to be explained in the application, clearly. And I don't want to grandfather anybody, anything. We can give them a 1-year exemption to see how they do it, but if you're going out there and creating a bunch of your time, having to go out and do all these things, then we take that grandfather right or that exemption away. Next year, they end up paying.
Which is the one, that's where we're at. I mean, we can go that route and just, because what we were wanting to do is send out a letter to the 35 that have it and say, hey, if you would like, stating that they will, keep care of it, mow it, do whatever they need to, then we can pull their permit. And if they want to try again, then they pay another fee and.
Well, and I'd just say that you shouldn't have to go out there multiple times and talk to them. If you go out and give them one warning,
To be
then,
honest with you, we haven't had any problem.
Okay.
I looked back and I think they started this in 94, 95. In 2019, I sent out new letters, asking the people, because there had been a lot of people that had sold and we had new landowners, and asked them if they wanted to continue on with that. Some did, some didn't. Some people, like now with the greenhouses being so popular and with bees, those people will contact us and ask to sign the contract and have us put signs up, so that it just makes it easier basically for our roadside drivers, because they have a lot going on at one time that they're doing. And it just helps them to be able to look down the road and see that, a new do not spray sign's coming up, so that they can shut the nozzles off so that they don't disturb anything. It's kind of a safety factor for liability. And then once they get past, you have one at the beginning of the property, and then you also have one at the end, so then you can turn your nozzles back on and continue forward. Like I said, honestly, we haven't had any problems with anyone since I've been there.
It's just pretty much to get that data in a better place that we know, because you do have stuff where they paint on a tree, don't spray.
yeah.
Or there's no rhyme or reason on some of them, and so this takes it and puts it into one of these management systems that at some point we can just show it right on the map. So if them guys are going out to spray these road sections, they can click on our asset management and go, here's your red zones, be aware of this. You could get it to the point where you could have that right in the cab with you, so it would warn you and stuff. We're not quite to that kind of point, but at least you could use that information more on your day-to-day, saying, hey, you guys are gonna be in this area, there's 4 points you need to watch for today.
Well, I'm very hesitant to waive fees. There's a reason fees were put in. I mean,
Well,
you can't have a fee unless there's a purpose and you're recouping funds that you're spending.
and there
We're not
will,
making money on fees. And that's why I say that
But the only reason for this waiver is for the existing sign holders to put their data in the new system. So rather than penalize them for transferring their data from the old system to the new, that's the reason for this request is if you're an existing customer,
Yeah.
that's it.
So we don't want to,
Well,
this
just
letter's
because
for
we're
those-
going
That's
This
electronic.
why I
letter's
went
just for
back.
those 35 people.
I went back to your statement when you said that you haven't had any problem with them. You said that you have to go back a few times, so if, I wanted a consequence in there, if you're having to go back to somebody
Right.
in the verbiage in the letter that you send out.
Well, it's kind of just the contact. If they're not doing their, you have a few each year that have that and they don't spray and they don't mow, they don't do anything with it. And so it's not a big conflict, but we have to go back and just say, okay, you're not doing it.
But I
and so
think
we
that
do it.
should be in that waiver or whatever we're doing, saying if we have to come, if you become a problem or a nuisance, you are still liable for the fee.
Right, and that's fine. That's fine. But the purpose of this letter, if I understand it correctly, is just for you existing 35, we need you to transfer, get a new permit in the new system so we can track you better. We're not going to penalize you for
Yes.
just reapplying.
This is just for the going to an electronic version versus a paper.
So essentially, they've already paid the fee.
Well, we never charged a fee before because this is a new fee.
Okay.
Because we just barely started doing on road and bridge side of things, fees for our permits.
This is on a fee schedule, though.
Yes. Like say what that consists of is the post, the sign, and the person putting it out there. It's to kind of get a consistency too on it. And so you don't have the ones painted on the tree or the sign or the post out there. It's, these operators will see this is one of our signs.
One-time deal. If you have problems,
Can you provide a list of those 35 and then provide that as backup to this so that then the board, it's on the record, the 35 that should be waived so that
Okay?
they match?
Yeah, we have that list.
Okay, I think that would be good, just for the record.
any further questions? Motion on this one?
Mr. Chair, I'd authorize, or I'd move that we authorize sending out this letter for the program as discussed.
We have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Whoops. All right, let's talk about landfills.
Dylan Evans, landfill manager.
Aubrey Lewis, management assistant for the landfill.
Buddy Romrell, Public Works Assistant Director.
So we kind of heard that we've had some questions on some of the free disposals at the landfill. We're coming into spring, and some of the cities are kind of questioning, what are we doing with our free days? We had, as you well know, last year we set them up for 3 free days here at Pocatello's Fort Hall Mine landfill. We did kind of previously suggest to the cities kind of, helping out with programs. So whether or not the county would just waive the disposal fee, but you get your city's waste to us. At the moment, we're set up to do our 3 free days here at the Fort Hall Mine landfill. The question is with the small cities around is, are we going to pick up waste from their city and deliver it on a free day?
And last fall, we didn't pick it up, right? They delivered it themselves. We allowed them to come dump for
Downey
free.
did, yes.
We allowed them to dump for free, but they arranged with their contractor to haul.
And in that meeting, they
the
said, well, come back to the commission for the next year kind of thing.
Well, and there's so many different angles here that I want to touch on. One is the McCammon site. I was under the impression that we weren't doing any dumping in there anymore. That was just a transfer station. But that isn't right.
No. The only thing we changed on that was that we're only open on Saturday.
Okay. And that's one I think that we need to close that site, and that they need to be a transfer station. As long as we're dumping construction debris and stuff like that, we can't have another contaminated site. That scares me. That's not a line facility. Same problems that we're dealing with up here. CDM Smith was just here and told us, that's my feelings on that one. And I thought that's where we were actually.
Well, I don't think we ever reached a decision, was my recollection, on what we were gonna do there. I think that was, we were gonna have further discussion, but I know we're all talking about those issues.
Yeah. So I think that's a key factor. And if we're doing free dump days, I don't want, even if that is a transfer site, I don't want that to be where they take their free dump to. I want it to come to this one. We're down 4 people up here at the landfill now. We can't transfer everybody's garbage in the county. And that's a big concern to me. So.
Well, I think it helps a lot, like what Downey did last fall, is for these cities and stuff it's a cooperative work.
Well, Income's always done that. Income's always hauled their own.
Income's did that, and to be able to say, hey, you're waiving these fees, and there's some of the county's part to that, and then the cities come in, and most of the time, with their contracts with PSI and stuff, PSI works deals and even does some for free. So I mean, there's avenues there for these cities if they'll get on board and make it more of a cooperative, task to do this, then it works better for everybody. Because it is hard. It's hard for our staff to go to each one of these cities all day long, hauling nonstop back and forth and doing that all through the spring.
Well, I think we're gonna have a discussion about that coming up, right?
Well, I wanted this discussion before we talk to the mayors. So that we have kind of a game plan of what it's costing the county, what direction we need to go, and what resources we have available. And that's why this is the people that know the resources. So.
And then as far as where we were at to date is, there was gonna be more discussions on some of these things, but at the moment, we're at 3 free days at this location, nothing else.
Yeah, because we did that thing with Downey last year, but that was just a one-shot deal, and then we were gonna have another discussion, I think, for what are we gonna do going forward with the mayors, or whichever mayors are interested in talking about this, I guess.
And Christie's gonna set that up, but that's why I wanted to have this group here, so we had a discussion and a plan going forward, instead of just meeting for the first time and not have any direction or any conversation, what we was gonna do.
Well, I like what we did last year. You can bring your roll-offs, you can bring your roll-offs on those days, we'll pay. I think that meets the needs of everybody, and it meets the staffing requirements that we have and the resources we have, so.
Do you mind if I give you a little information on it?
Please.
So, for instance, in FY21, we don't track the smaller cities because they just kind of come, fill up the roll-offs, and then we track the tonnage, but we didn't track the customer count. So in FY22, the amount of customers we did track was 670. Last year was the first year that we did the free dump days, eliminated the small cities. It went up to 1,395. So it shows that people are taking advantage of it. We've got good tracking for it. Our tonnage also went up quite a bit too. So people are willing to come to the actual landfill and do it, which I think, again, is the safe bet. We are having it in a line cell. We're keeping track of actual tonnage more accurately because of the scales and the weight system, things like that. We're not running into people trying to dump and an online sell thing, everything there. So I think overall it was really good to just do the 3 with us. Then we don't have, extra employees working on overtime. We don't have to use a roll-off truck from the fairgrounds in order to accommodate for that. So I think overall it was helpful to us. I think it was helpful to the county as well.
So the total number before was how many? And then
670 people is who we were able to track because we made actual tickets for them because they went through the scales at the landfill. So now, being able to actually continue tracking them with the scale system, 1,395 last year.
So Kyle, just as a side question, did you happen to notice any more garbage along the side of the road from people not being able to drive all the way to Pocatello to dump their garbage?
No.
Okay. Did you?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Because that was a big issue last year. People were afraid that the roads were going to become destroyed with garbage. Okay.
Yeah, we've heard that, if we don't make it easy and this and that they'll start using the draws and roadsides and all
We actually
that.
collected significantly more trash these times, and I think it's because people could take advantage of it more because there was more access here in Pocatello.
Did you happen to track or have any idea where the people were coming from? Because it would be interesting if all these extra people were from here,
Right,
near
or if
the
they're from South
landfill,
County.
and you were getting less from the South County, because this is a big deal to the South County
It is.
residents. I don't think it's as big a deal to people here where the landfill is within driving distance where you'd go grocery shopping or something.
Could you track it by zip code going forward?
I don't know if Wasteworks has that capability, but we might be able to just just write it down or something. Yeah.
Right on all the
As
websites.
we're helping them make a tally mark, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure something out for it, but yeah, that's something we
That
can
would
do.
give you that information going forward.
Yeah.
I'd be curious.
Well, I definitely want to hear from the mayors of the South counties and what their perspective is on all this.
Okay. Thoughts on McCammon as a transfer station compared to a dump?
From a fiscal standpoint, we have some holes in internal controls of collected money from the county. So
Yeah,
you
serious
keep that
holes.
in mind when making a decision.
Okay.
It's a very unsecure kind of thing. We don't have actual weights. We just kind of go based on their truck size, kind of how much it looks. Also, again, they could just give us cash and we just kind of,
Well, and them are things that we're gonna have to control anyway,
Mhm.
if we make that a transfer station.
Yeah.
So that's still a big concern and a problem that we're gonna have to,
But it would be a little bit less if it was just a transfer station, right? Because you're not going to have individuals coming.
well, we would know the weight of stuff coming across the scales.
it comes
But-
across the scales when it gets towed back here, yes.
But that would give us
But
an
the
idea.
C&D, yes.
That would give us an idea and what we need to adjust and what we need to do down there.
But if we can eliminate the C&D portion, that part we don't track anyway. We have
Yeah.
no way to track how much of it we're getting. That would help us there.
You could maybe go to where it's no cash.
We'd have to set up some sort of credit card system too.
Any form of finding money, you can find a way to do something, so we'll just have to have.
But that's a discussion we're gonna have to have
Yeah.
anyway.
And it's just hard, at some point in time is development, if the county wants to develop. With development, and as more people move out in that area, you'll have more use for that transfer station. The problem with it'd be nice to just put scales, but they're so expensive, it just, you're already losing
But
resources
if
there.
we do,
so-
if we use that just as a transfer station, we don't do anything else, and we check the weight coming across that, here at this scale, that'll give us a direction, in my opinion. But, I'm not suggesting closing the transfer part of it down. Because it is a good resource down there. But
It is,
But
but
I am suggesting that we close down the dump at that location. And if it's construction debris and stuff like that, then they can haul it here into where we have the resources to take care of that.
I agree.
And that's where you get a lot of your weight too, is your construction debris. So, we'll have a meeting, we're gonna call the mayors in, have a meeting with them, and we'll talk about all these things. We'll probably have you all back at that time, but like I said, I knew we was talking about some of these other things. We got a couple more on the agenda here to talk about, but your input is very valuable. Okay? Roadside.
Roadside. So I have before you today a road waiver for roadside cleanup. I think we'd started the process before, but I didn't see anything that for sure that was signed by the commission on kind of going in this same route. We did it last year and just had them dump it in the road and bridge dumpster when they grabbed a few bags here and there. It's usually not a lot, but I'd hate to discourage people that would like to get out there and clean, as long as we know they're not cheating in any way and just cleaning their yard and saying it's off the side of the road. So we put things in place to know that they're out there actually doing it and all that. But it's another county property per se. We already do stuff for the sheriff's department, road and bridge, event center. We do fees. We don't fee any of these other facilities at the county. So I'd like to be able to, when these groups, church or whatever kind of groups want to do something like this, like I say, it's maybe once or twice a year, that we offer them an ability to do it and not tell them we're going to charge them to clean the side of the road.
Do we provide sacks, bags?
So we provide sacks, and so when they come in, like kind of on the sheet, we have bags for them, vests and signage, because we want them to be safe out there. So we kind of, they don't care, they'll just all go out there. So we're trying to keep the safety factor of out on the road. And we just have a bag of these little vests and different things, and we make sure it gets signed that they're safe as they're out there, and then we make sure that they return what they took, besides the bags. We'll give them the bags to.
Okay. Any concerns with this?
No, I'm all for helping clean up the side, so if it's on our property, let's do it. Mr. Chair, I'd authorize that fee waiver request form as discussed.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So while we're talking about all this stuff, a year ago or 2 years ago, in the journal it popped up that we was allowing free dumps at the landfill for junipers and trees and stuff. Well, I called and talked to the fire chief and asked him where his contract was with us. It said that we'd do that kind of stuff, and nobody had one. And so we was giving away free dumping for nothing. And so we curtailed that process. But we've had quite a few calls since this last storm, all the limbs and trees and stuff that are down. Is there any possibility that we could create a slag pile off there somewhere, even down where we're doing the sand or something, and burn in the fall? Is there any way that we can help people? Because I don't want to give away free dumping with people cleaning their own yards.
On the burn aspect of it, we would have to get a permit through DEQ to be able to do that. It's a little bit difficult up at that site because of all the methane production and stuff like that.
We could have a really big fire.
So you would have a cost of that, because they would probably make us put it off out to the side of any of the cells and all of that. Then we're responsible for if it causes any fire and all that.
There's a lot coming in.
We looked at kind of doing something like that for McCammon, and it became quite a thing, because there is landfills that'll collect piles and then they'll have their burn times, but there's just certain requirements. You have to have water trucks of it on site, certain personnel on site.
Well, we'd make the city of Pocatello come out there with the fire trucks. I mean,
there's
they're the ones that were
possibilities.
trying to give away the permits.
It is, I see the need kind of for that, like branches and everything that people trim and it'd be nice if there's a way that we could, I
Okay.
think that's a kind of a gripe that I've heard throughout the years of, we're trimming our trees and it costs us so much to.
So,
I think that's what the city is doing, is chipping it.
So a lot of landfills will take that and they chip it, and then you can then look at selling the chips or something like that. We looked into that, and without having like this, like a tree thing, all our wood we get just in our location we're at is like railroad ties and stuff, so we can't do anything with them if we do chip them. So we kind of, if it's been treated lumber or railroad, any of that, we can't do anything. So we kind of were like, it's just not worth it. There, you can go to Idaho Falls, and Bonneville County has a 20-acre facility with trees everywhere, and they're chipping and doing all these things. But it's just they get a lot of trees for some reason. It's just we don't.
so what kind of usage are you getting right now? Quite a bit?
Oh,
you
yeah,
said?
yeah, we're busy at cell 3, way higher than typical. That's I'd like to see by the end of this week to run the report on the tonnage that went to cell 3, because it's been pretty much straight tree limbs.
This weekend, since we had a really nice weather, we had over 330 people on Saturday, which our winter time, we usually have max of 200. We're not really quite in our spring and summer hours yet. And then on Monday, we were up in the 300s as well. A huge amount of branches that came up.
It would be nice to have something set up to have a little bit of a program for like a disaster or something like that. These trees and different things like that, they don't have to go on a line sell, and so they're one of our lowest minimal costs of doing something with. We just have to find a spot, and even if we bury them,
You don't think there's a spot up there you could find where you could burn this and it wouldn't be a major production?
No.
What about on the property out on the old highway? We cleared out a spot there and put it there and did it there.
Grooming shack?
Yeah.
we're needing to put a public works building there.
Well, that would help clear the ground so you can get it ready for that. I'm just helping you prepare the area.
We've looked, and there is places up there because they were wondering about like bomb, like munitions and stuff that the police get if they're gonna have a bomb or something, that they needed a location to be able to detonate these things and stuff. And we had a spot kind of for that, but yeah, we had to kind of build it because it's.
But that's an area right now that housing is, the influx of houses is terrible. I mean, it's not like it used to be with nobody along that road.
They can stand one good bonfire, just saying. Just do some groundwork for you.
I mean, but there is a possibilities that we could go to the south. The only thing we had with that is we'd have to build we'd have some road construction. We'd have to remove some cedar trees, so we have a big enough area that we don't have to worry about.
Because we're dumping these trees in a cell right now, aren't we?
Unlined cell.
A non-line cell.
An unlined cell.
Yeah,
So
but
it's just-
still, that's taking up space.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine we can't find somewhere where we can have these nice bonfires, and maybe we can put Scott over it, make it an event center program.
Yeah, we could take them.
Sell
to the-
sponsorships.
I like
and all
that
kinds of
idea. Let's
things.
take them to the event center.
4th of July kickoff.
That's right.
I mean.
Instead of a beach party, we'll have a bonfire party.
Think about it. I mean,
Yeah, I agree with John. If you can find a spot to do it, let's look pretty seriously at it.
DEQ's supposed to be here in 2 weeks.
Next week.
May 9th, I believe. Bill.
I guess
you
We
a
have
month.
next week, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, while DEQ's here, can you have a spot and have them look at it and say, yeah, that might work or that might not work, just on a.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they're good to visit about it. That's all we kind of did before, is what would this entail if we did this?
Okay.
Well, I don't want it to cost the county a bunch of money. But if there's a program that we could develop, I think that it'd be worthwhile. All right. I think that's the end of my list.
Thank you.
What's that? Yeah, I mean their list. Their list.